This is just a real way for us to have an adventure, obviously, celebrate what appears to be the end of real COVID. You know, the pandemic still lingers in some markets, I understand. By the way, Julie, did I tell you, in LA, they're masking again?
Good thing I have some in the car.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's what this is all about. And, man, it's wonderful. I have to say, it's wonderful to be back in the United States after being in Puerto Rico for basically 2 years straight.
Nothing against Puerto Rico, but, you know, it was a little isolated island there for a while.
Well, you know, you can read signs here. You don't have to, like, okay, you know, put your Spanish translator
double backwards translating.
Right. You could talk to people without having to, you know, figure out how much, okay, that's the end of their English. That's the end of my Spanish. Out comes the Google app.
You know, I'm still in the back of my head thinking, how do I say that in Spanish? I'm kind of deprogramming that for the next week or so.
So one of the things that we've been following is what's happening in, obviously, the real estate markets. That's our primary concern. Here, of course, Julie and I can't stop doing it. Here in Boise, we were looking at Realtor.com. We try to avoid Zillow, but we were looking at Realtor.com and seeing what was for sale. And again, we talked to Jonna Weber yesterday. She's part of our EXP group. She's a fantastic agent. She sells, I think she said 80 houses a year. Just a wonderful, wonderful gal. If you're in the Boise, Idaho area, make sure you reach out to her. And we talked yesterday about her expanding her real estate team because she has too many leads. So definitely if you're in the Boise area, reach out to Jonna Weber. But we were talking about the market here. And the market here, even in Boise, which let's say, how do you describe Boise?
I think it's, I don't know. It does kind of remind us of like a Midwestern town out west. Sort of a normal, you know, it's surrounded by mountains.
It's like where you and I grew up, honestly. Yeah, it's kind of minus the mountains.
Yeah,
right? We had cornfields.
Exactly.
Right? But I mean, this is
beautiful river.
The old joke is if the world ever comes to an end, you want to be in a place like Columbus, Ohio, where we're from, or Boise, because, you know, then you still have another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's that far behind. But I mean, the truth is, it's nice.
It is nice. It's cozy. People are very friendly.
Totally.
Very outdoorsy. People are out doing stuff along the river. I didn't know that you could surf in a river, for example.
Did you get a picture of that, by the way?
Not yet, but I'm going to. Zoe couldn't believe it either. So my first thought was, okay, so I'm not a surfer. Obviously, we're from Ohio. But, you know, I get surfing in the ocean. You wipe out. You have hopefully a fairly good landing, you know. And then I was thinking, you surf in a river and you wipe out. Aren't you knocking your head into some rocks?
I honestly looked at those gentlemen trying to surf in that river, and I just sort of felt sorry for them.
Yeah. Well, at least they were wearing helmets. So I'm still putting all that together.
So from a guy's perspective, I'm telling you right now, the whole game there.
Yeah.
Was to look cool, look like a surfer.
Yeah, but meet the girls.
And meet the girls. That's what that whole is. There's 4 dudes holding under a bridge, and there's a little bit of white water, and they're acting like they're surfing for about 6 inches. That was the whole scene.
Yeah.
And people told us about, did you see the surfers on the river?
The river surfers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're from Puerto Rico, people.
Yeah, we've seen surfing.
We've seen people kite surf.
Yes, but we appreciate the effort because, you know, they are kind of far away from an ocean.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, like I said, this reminds me of Columbus, Ohio. You're making the most of what you've got.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, so listen, as far as our travel journal, that's what we have for you. But on to business. Now, by the way, this is something I should talk about too.
Yes.
And we do have a great topic for you guys for this week. Do be really drilling down on the podcast we did last week. I was worried, truthfully, that when we did all this podcast, it was centered primarily on EXP, that we would get some negative pushback, and quite the opposite happened. We had actually a ton of people reach out to us and asking more questions about EXP. And here's the bottom line. And this is something you have, I was going to say moral obligation, and that's probably too strong, but you really have an obligation to yourself and your future self's finances to take a hard look at EXP Realty, because the overall value that they're offering, I put a call on speakerphone this morning, a wonderful lady from Massachusetts named Judy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was about a half hour ago. And she listened to the podcast, and she really understood the overall value. And when you hear the energy and enthusiasm from her voice, it's the reason I put it on speakerphone so Julie and Zoe could listen. I mean, that's the level. Once you get it, once the switch is flipped in your head and you understand why